Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is the FIDE World Cup 2025, round 6, the tiebreaks. We have to decide our final three semifinalists. Nodirbek Yakubboev is chilling, he's relaxed, he's in the semifinals, he's got his guaranteed 75% chance of making the candidates tournament. Three more players are there to join him. And there's been a little bit of a rhetoric going around in these tiebreaks where are the white pieces cursed? Because it's often well known that with white you need to press, and black is the one constantly defending. It's an advantage to have white. But is it when you're in a must win situation? Well, here's Sam Shankland versus Andrey Esipenko. We've got c4, e6. Now, why I bring that up, just by the way, is this is their, fifth tiebreak game? How many games have they played? They drew their two classical games, and then this is their third tiebreak game. So they played 4 tiebreak games, and Sam Shankland won the first one with the black pieces, and then lost with the white pieces. And now we've got this game. Knight to c3, Esipenko won with the black pieces, then lost with the white pieces, and now we've got this game. d5. Now a traditional Queen's Gambit declined sort of stuff. We've seen this several times in, this seems to be a very popular system at the moment, and it just kind of nullifies everything. It's a bit symmetrical. We get these exchanges, and there's not much to be seen or done here. In fact, I think Hikaru had a game like this some time ago. I think it was in the candidates actually, where he had a structure like this from this opening, and it generally nullifies white's advantage. And in fact, in a lot of positions, as like now, black's better, particularly after queen b8, which looks very, very silly. Now, this is a 10-minute game. Esipenko has got to this position where black is slightly better. He's got 10 minutes, 37 seconds. Sam Shankland's already down under 8 minutes. Now, queen b1 is played. Esipenko invests his time, plays knight to g4, just targeting the bishop. Bishop retreats to d2, and now queen to e7, threatening f2, but now you can play bishop to e1. Now knight de5, just transferring the pieces in and activating everything. Black's position just humming. White a little bit uncomfortable having to contort to everything. We get this capture in the center, and now king f1. Looks silly, but you step out of this pin and you come closer towards your pieces. Knight to c6, and now f3, potentially ready to put the bishop on f2, knight to d4, bishop to f2. Bishop g5. We're just going to let the pin exist for now. Rook c2, e5. Knight secured in. We now get bishop to d3, queen to b8 again, and now rook b2. And now the play is kind of where we're going to advance. So Shankland breaks through on the queen side. Bishop to e6 allows the capture, and now we get knight to e2. Rook d7. Capture in the center, and now g3. Bishop to e3, rook c2. A lot of pressure, a lot of decisions have been made. Shankland down to 5 minutes. Esipenko less than that. Rook a7. And now rook e1. A mistake from Sam Shankland. Rook a3, rook c5, rook b3, queen d1, rook takes, bishop takes, and we get this position. Now you might be saying, why isn't this being taken? It comes with a lot of tactics. It will be taken at some point, but not before bishop to c4. Now the rook is under pressure, so we get this exchange, and now rook d5 is a miss. The best move for Shankland here was to finally take this. To play queen takes e3, defend the rook, and you will be fine. But he misses it, plays rook d5. Now, Andrey Esipenko is winning if he plays queen to a6. But he goes the wrong way, he plays queen h6. With the same idea, or a similar idea. He's targeting this, he's got eyes on this, so there's, discoveries, and just looking to infiltrate. But now h4 comes. And while not the perfect move, it gives Shankland a little bit of resolve. Queen f6. Rook takes e3. And now Esipenko has the advantage but messes up. He plays rook fb8, which loses because Sam Shankland can find queen c3. And after rook b1 check, as long as he goes to g2, and then to hide on h3, he will be fine. But here he sees ghosts. If you go back and look at their first tiebreak game, which he lost, his king got stuck on h3 and it ended in disaster. So he sees ghosts and he plays king to e2, which blunders because of rook b2 check. His idea was rook d2, but this just loses because of rook takes d2 check. And you've got a problem. If you take with the queen, rook b2 is a pin of epic proportions. And if you take with the king, any check here is devastating for the black king, because you'll play something like, well, the engine wants you to sack, but if you play king e2, you get mated. Queen d1 here and queen f1. So Sam Shankland sees a ghost and is knocked out of the FIDE World Cup. He's not the only one. 2 more men will be knocked out. Esipenko advances. And so will one of these men. One of these men trying to play their countryman. Of course, I am talking about... Javokhir Sindarov and Jose Martinez. Again, we're in the 10-minute section. Again, we're asking about the question of whether the white pieces are cursed. Javokhir Sindarov lost, though, to Jose Martinez and had to win to keep fighting. This is their 4th tiebreak game. c4, another English. And the question as I go through this was, is Jose Martinez happy with a draw, or does he feel like he needs to press? And does he want to end it now? Because the feeling is he's such a good blitz player that as the time controls got shorter, they would favor him. As we can see, he's playing very quickly. He's got a time advantage against Sindarov. Sindarov looking to play his countryman Nodirbek Yakubboev. But he's just, we get the trade of the bishops, and black's just got a very uncomfortable position. And Sindarov not only has he got the white pieces, but he probably has to press. He has to press, surely. And he does. He's putting pressure on Jose Martinez. Martinez, who's now got a time disadvantage after 29 moves. He's down to 4 minutes, 23 seconds. Sindarov, 20 seconds, 5 minutes, 20 seconds. And what we get is this, knight to c6, the best move. And now, Jose Martinez has got very limited options. Bishop f8 keeps it alive for now, but b4 comes. Knight to f6, king f3. Knight d7, king e2. Rook slides over, now I can play b5. King to h7. f4 gives all that little advantage that he had built away, because now I can chop. A takes b5. You have to play a takes b5, and now rook to a4, targeting the weakness. King f3, h5, g4. Now here Jose Martinez must be patient. He must play g6. And now the best move for white is to actually play g5 and isolate this. Because if you push forward, you lose it. And I can lock up the structure and keep your dark squared bishop in a cage, which is subtle, but it's in a bit of a cage. But he plays h takes g4. H takes g4, now king g8. Getting out of the way of the rooks, potentially swinging to the open h file. Just because there are no queens on the board doesn't mean you can't get mated. g5 now. g6. Rook d2. Rook a3. Rook c2. Rook a4. King e2. f5. E takes f5. G takes f5. Sindarov does not play en passant. King to f3 again. How many times has he played king to f3? But it's a pressure cooker. But now we're in a blitz game. 45 moves in. Sindarov is slightly better. He's putting pressure. Jose Martinez, 20 seconds. Sindarov, 1 minute 37 seconds. A 1 minute and 20 second time advantage. But Jose Martinez is so good at these fast time controls. e5. Rook d5. Rook a3. King f2. Stepping out of the pin. Important. Rook a4. Just like Sindarov had played king to f3, how many times? Jose Martinez played rook a4 a lot to keep pressure on this. But now he can't play it because there are too many threats, and the threat that he falls victim to is f takes e5. Because after d takes, now I can play knight takes e5. I win the pawn. When you take, and I take, I'm so sorry. This, yes, might fall. But this will also fall. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and I take with the bishop. And this will most likely fall as well. f4, rook d5, bishop e7, king f3. He finally plays it again, but this time it's a mistake. Is he actually going to capitalize, or is Jose Martinez? No. Check. King e7, and now we bring the bishop back. Target the rook. King slides up. Come forward. I push, and there's nothing you can do. I get in the way. And the curse of the black pieces, of the white pieces, is over. I queen. And there's nothing you can do, because you can play rook takes, and then I will just, I can take here, because then once you grab this, this is a completely winning endgame. In fact, it's mate in 7. And Sindarov will play his countryman, Nodirbek Yakubboev. We've got the Battle of the Uzbeks. But this next game I have to show you was a clash of the titans. The Indian #1 by rating versus the Chinese #1. And no, it's not Ding Liren anymore. It is Wei Yi. They went to tiebreaks. And once again, we are asking, is the white pieces the problem? This was in the 15-minute section. Arjun Erigaisi, one of the best players around in these types of tournaments. e4, e5. We got a Petrov with d4, the Steinitz attack. Where black takes in the center, but now I can play bishop to d3. You can take, and we get this, which is similar, but white hasn't had to go backwards, I think is the main point. Knight d7, and now knight c3. Allow this capture, and now bishop to d6. You might want to say, hang on, why not take this and then ruin the structure? It is an idea, and then play c5. It is an idea, but this can be supported, and then the structure is not that bad. So it's an idea. It's perfectly playable, but bishop to d6, we go for development. Short castles, and now rook to e1. c5, looking to undermine everything. Knight takes d7. Queen takes d7, and now, as white, you have to be very precise. Sorry, as black, you have to be very precise. Because there's queen to h5, threatening mate, so you must play g6. And after queen to f3, c4. Important move. Now the bishop is off the diagonal. We go for a little bit of danger levels with bishop to h6. But rook d8 is fine. Now you might have been tempted, just by the way, to go for this, where you take the bishop. Unfortunately, that loses and it's mate in 4. Because of queen f6. And you're blundering mate. So what you have to do is play rook d8. That's why it's important. Because bishop to e2 now comes. You might say, wait, hang on, same idea. Queen f6. Doesn't work now because there's bishop f8. The rook has vacated that square, and I can drop the bishop back. That's the important defensive resource that you and I would have missed. Rook d8. Now the bishop drops back to e2. Queen to f5. g4. Queen takes f3. Bishop takes f3. And now bishop to e6. Just developing. And now I'm so sorry. It's a bit late. It's been a long day. I don't know why these last few recaps have been a bit tight. Maybe I need to get some vitamins. Rook d7. Now we're in a queenless middle game. It is still a middle game, and it's very interesting because white doesn't have a very mobile structure. These three pawns can't move. Black has got play here on the queen side and arguably on the king side as well, because this pawn can become a bit of a weakness. So black has got to play against white's tangible weaknesses. White's got to hold everything together and probably either hope black overpresses or that Arjun can make a draw and go to another knockout game. But we know, telling us now, there's no draw here. One of these players makes a terrible mistake. As we begin jostling and developing and moving the pieces around, we get a trade of the rooks. And now rook a4. Now looking at this position aesthetically, I favor black. White has decided to just push all of their pawns forward. My rook controls the open file. Your rook is stuck here. These bishops are supporting your weaknesses, not targeting anything in black's position. Wei Yi has a position he can play now with relative ease. He starts with bishop to d8. Now we play g5. H takes g5 is a slight mistake, but not too bad. Bishop comes out. Now, look at this. There's no longer a weakness here, but now I've got here. So your bishop has to stay there. And now, how do these pieces really develop and get into the game? Remember, how do you evaluate a position? It's not only on material, it's on piece activity. The players are very tight on time. We get bishop to f3. And what did I say? The bishop can't move. Well, it can. Bishop takes e2 is a mistake. Because why? I can grab here. And now, this pawn is passed. Bishop d3 secures the one that you have in. But now I can develop my rook. Rook to a2. Bishop to c7. King to f2. f6. Breaking apart the remaining structure. Activating the king. Bishop to e3, rook to h8. Bishop drops back to g2, rook to h4. Pressing all the time. Now, we push the pawn. Will it get through? Because we're taking here. a5, important move. Why? You're undermining the structure and the rook will get in. How do you activate pieces without moving them? Bishop takes e3, check, king comes up. And now look at that important move, b5. No opening anything for you. We're okay, and you can't take. Taking was just devastating because rook takes and rook takes. And rook f2 check by Arjun Erigaisi is a mistake. Why? Because I can play bishop to f5 and block. And now you're in a lot of trouble because the rook can drop back. But I can secure it with a6. You can push the pawn. My king is close enough. Rook d2, bishop d3 is fine. It's not the perfect move, but it's fine. Rook f2. Bishop f5. We look to repeat, but no repetition. Rook to h7. You can play bishop to c6, rook to h3 check. You come back, and now bishop to d3, same idea. We win the pawn, and you don't get anything because I'm breaking through in time. You can take this. I don't care. My king is close enough to stop it, and I'm breaking through over here. Takes, push. Rook drops back, push again. Rook all the way stuck. Now look at that. I can drop the bishop back. It's anchored in. And now rook b3, rook b2, rook b1 kind of ideas. We have to intercede, but check. And I pick up here. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. I'm in here. And I take. And you're frozen. And now my king comes in. I win this. And I get all the way in. I start pushing the second pawn. Your bishop is not able to stop both. And eventually I will get through. You have to sack, and eventually your king has to get out of the way. Stalemate ideas doesn't work, and the Chinese #1 defeats the Indian #1. Heartbreak for lots of Indian fans. The final Indian falls. The Indian world #1 is knocked out by the Chinese world #1. Arjun fans all over. Sorry, it's heartbreaking, but Wei Yi advances. And we now know it will be Javokhir Sindarov versus Nodirbek Yakubboev and Wei Yi versus Andrey Esipenko. 3 of those men will qualify for the FIDE candidates in 2026. Who will miss out?